Identifying.
The king of cakes. Choppa for the win.
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Finally, we're back for 2017 and I have Harley Quinn for you, inspired by a doll from the Suicide Squad movie. What you're going to do is head over to the Cakes by Chopper Facebook page, print out the template, cut her out and keep her little fringe parts intact but just fold them up. Cut the two head pieces out, stack them on top, and then you're going to carve down the cheeks because you want to take off all those sharp edges from around the top, and that way her face will taper down nicely without any lines through the side. Then we're going to carve out just a little dip where her eyes will be, and you'll see the face shape starting to come together. Once you're happy with the final look, you can start filling your cake, and I've used a plain buttercream as I do for most of the videos. You can choose whatever filling you like. Then once I've done that, I've stacked the cake on top and then gave it a crumb coat and put it in the fridge for 5 minutes to let the first crumb coat set. Then we apply a second coating of buttercream, and this is where we start to give the face a little bit more shape. I've went around and smoothed it all out around the edges, and then basing off the nose point on the template, I put a little peak of buttercream and taper that out so it goes looking like a nose practically. And then you're going to basically sculpt the rest of the shape by adding little bits of buttercream for the cheeks, carving out those little dints with the buttercream where the eyes were. Then this gives you that final face shape. As you can see, I'm putting on the cheeks here, and you just smooth it out. Try not to get any peaks or any big lines where there should be nice smooth surface, and that way when you lay your fondant on top, you will have a nice smooth finish. For this flesh color, I used 2 drops of yellow and 1 drop of red, and there was only about 500 grams of fondant for this one. Placed that over the bottom half of the cake. Now, whilst I was making this cake, I was also live streaming it on Facebook, and I rolled the fondant a little bit thicker one end because I knew I wouldn't be putting it at the top. But when I placed it on, I put the thin part at the bottom, and that also helped towards the bottom of the cake getting a lot of ripples as the buttercream settles. Now, just be sure if you do that, make sure you put the thin side at the top, because we are trimming off the excess and adding a hairline. As you can see here, I've cut the hairline off the template and rolled out some yellow fondant. Now this is going to be the main part of her hair. I've broken off 2 little parts for the fringe, and then you can see here I've added some Tylos powder, rolled out a snake, curved it around the template and trimmed it off to make it the same shape. And then before it starts to set too much, I used my sculpting tool to put in the hairlines. Pay attention to the template when you follow these hairlines, because these sit right in front of everything on the cake, so they are going to be a focal point as well. Just using the tool, you just push in the lines, and then once you're happy with it, repeat it on the other side. Make sure you keep them to the same length and width as the template. With the rest of your yellow fondant, you're going to roll it out fairly thick, I'd say about 1/4 inch, and then place that over the top of the head and use your cutting tool to trim out where the hairline should be. I just cut the template here and got a good guide, but unfortunately I didn't film that because the camera stopped. Now, once I've got it on, I'm using my sculpting tool to smooth out the edges and then place in the little hair pleats and lines on top of the head. Ignore the fact that I just put the ear on, because I actually ended up trimming them off later because I put them on too early and they were too big, so we'll fix that up later. Once you've got all your hairlines in, you can use a little bit of the flesh colored fondant to make her ponytail bands and just measure them up and use the template to see where they sit. With what's left of the yellow fondant, I rolled 2 fat snakes, put some slits in the bottom, shaped out where I wanted the hair to sort of tether off, and then used my sculpting tool to put in the details. The template has more of a sculpted toy look because it's based off a doll, whereas mine's more of a cartoony look that I found a lot easier just to use the sculpting tool to put the lines in, just like on the fringe. And you can go as much detail as you like with that. Obviously, the more you do, the better. You can see here I've placed it onto where the ponytail band is and then just neatened it up. For the other one, I did a little bit differently. I placed it in first and then put the slits in, and then you just twist them out and manipulate it until you're happy with it. Once again, paying a lot of detail to the lines in the hair. For her eyes, you're going to cut them out a little bit bigger. I'd say about 1/2 centimeter bigger than the template, because you've added the fondant and buttercream to the shape you've cut out. So all the features are going to be a little bit bigger than what you'd expect. You can still use the template to measure out where everything goes. Smooth the eyes down with your finger, and then we're going to cut out some flesh colored strips that are thin enough to be her lips at the top. And I've made them a little bit bigger as well. And you can see here, once I place it on, I manipulate it around and shape out with a little Cupid's peak, Cupid's bow, is that what it's called? The little tops of a lip, and then I placed a white line of fondant underneath and shaped that for her top set of teeth. Then using some more flesh colored fondant, we shape out the bottom lip. Follow the template for this. It's quite a deep U, but you got to make sure it's not too wonky either side. It's got to be quite symmetrical. We're going to paint that with some red gel food dye, painting in the bottom lip and then over the top. Be very careful you don't get it on the teeth or the face, and then it'll save you a lot of cleanup work later. Once that's done, we started on with the eyes, and then I did blue circles using the template to measure out how big they'd be. And I made them a little dark, and I just dabbed on some paper towel, and I got this really nice effect where it was dark on the outside but light on the inside. And then I just fixed it up to be the exact coloring I wanted, because the bottom of her eyes are a little bit lighter. I painted in some black circles and then some little white balls of fondant for the light reflections. Now, using some petal dust, I got the blue and the pink to do this smeared makeup on her eyes. And it kind of looks a bit weird now, but once you put this black gel food dye on, it really brings it to life. As you can see here, I'm just lining off the bottom. The picture shows you exactly on the template how to do this. I followed it along the top, did 3 little eyelashes, and then sort of a cat's eye at the bottom. And it just, you can see it just really pops once that's on. Then just repeat onto the other side with the exact same pattern. Then you're going to paint on a little love heart on her cheek using a small brush. Then get an even thinner brush to line off the top of her eyelid. Be very careful, because when you're working with gel food dye, if you put your finger in it or anything, it's going to smear and ruin your cake. Using some diluted brown food dye and an angle brush, I sort of just tapped on here the shape of the eyebrow and then filled them in to make sure I was happy with it. Now your fringe should be set, so you can place them on, and I've just wet the bottoms of it and let it sit where it was, and it stayed perfectly. Now switching to a much larger brush, I've put on some blue petal dust on the same side as the blue eyeshadow, and then some pink. I would probably next time use a little bit more of a pigmented pink over the yellow, because it sort of went a bit orangey, but it was okay. I think it looked fine. Now I placed on the ears and then used some gold petal dust to deepen the lines in her hair, and then fixed up that little bulging part at the bottom with my fondant smoother. Now this is where I almost forgot to paint in her hairbands, so go and match them up again to the hair color and the eyes, and there is your Harley Quinn cake. Well, the Harley Quinn inspired cake, I should say, because it was the doll that really made me want to do this cake. As always, thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out some other cakes, here's 2 that I can recommend. And I've also wanted to spotlight some channels that I truly love and believe in, so please go check them out, check out their content. Who knows, you might find your next favorite YouTuber. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.